Hi, it's Hazel. Welcome to my channel, Hazel Anaka Design. I am very excited about doing this video, and I'll tell you why in a second. But before we do that, let me just, oh dear, I'm going to have to lift the camera for a second. I'm just going to show you some peonies I got from my daughter. Oh boy, that's so close to the camera. Some peonies that I got from as cut flowers from my daughter because of my recent surgery and hospital stay. I just cut them down again this morning to, give them new life. Anyway, okay, let me reconstruct the scene here, the crime scene. I'll go back down a bit because I know that I like to be able to see what's happening on a video, and I assume you do too. Okay, excited to do this video for a variety of reasons. Number one, it was a subscriber request, so that's always a good thing. Thank you, Denise, for asking, and I'm happy to oblige. Number two, I love doing this particular activity, and it also checks several of the boxes or neatly fits under several of the playlists on my channel, like use it, don't store it, saving time in the craft room, and well, it's a great craft with me activity as well. I should say that I've begun responding to the comments that accumulated during my hiatus, and I'm just gobsmacked by your kindness, by your prayers, by your good vibes, positive wishes, and the kind things you say about what you find here on the channel or in my delivery or whatever. So you guys rock. Anyway, what did Denise ask for? Well, recently, was that only yesterday? Recently, who knows when. Recently, I did a video showing you my snippet rolls. And I think, well, it was called Snippet Snafu, so because there was a major. I think most of them, okay, let me stand for a second. They were a mixture, fabric and paper elements. And I suggest if you love making snippet rolls or would love to attempt your first ones, that's a good video to watch. And I really do have to start learning how and linking videos. Anyway, I keep talking about these good intentions because at the back of my mind, they are things I want to do. Be more regular on social media, learn how to edit, blah, 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 link videos. But honestly, 92.7% of me would much rather create than do those kinds of things. So I keep putting it to the back burner. And just for the record, I'm not a procrastinator. Okay, so what I am doing here is, number one, using some stuff that has been on my desk, but also because, eventually you start to get a little smarter and more efficient, fingers crossed, I'm also doing this in a colorway and a theme that is needed for a project that I'm working on. So rather than, now I could have chosen, baby colors for the baby book, but I had more of this stuff handy, so that's what I'm doing. So this was a strip of sort of cardstocky type material. Love the color, eggplant. I ripped a strip off out of an old music book. Now, I guess we'd better if the design went all the way to the end, but we're not going to worry about that. So basically, I'm using this strip as my base for some stability because, as we know, with older book page, it could be fairly weak. And this will be handled a bit before its ultimate use. I would also say So some of you were well excited to know what to avoid in making a snippet in terms of a base. And that's a good thing. I think that if you can also predetermine, flip a coin or look at your workload or whatever, if you can predetermine how you intend, I'm kind of running out of space here, how you intend to use the final product, you'll save time and effort and you'll be happier with the result. So I didn't make this exactly the same size because frankly, I wanted that bit of a torn edge and so on. And there will be enough layers added, I feel, that it will get stronger and stronger. Okay, now, we know that snippet rolls, well, they can be long. They can be kind of the height of a page. They can be, 2 feet long, 3 feet long, rolled it up, and I think that's where the word roll came from. We know that they can be cut off at any point. They could be cut or torn short to use as clusters. So they're very versatile. I think most of the time we tend to build them, left to right. But there's nothing stopping us from building them top to bottom. So in other words, if I knew that I want to use this ultimately as a vertical belly band, and of course, belly bands can go this way too on a page, then it makes sense to have my focal points look right. So that's how I'm going to build this one. So what I've assembled here, well, and I kind of put together this tray of some stuff that was in a little drawer. It was time to kind of organize, I could use that, kind of organize it. So I picked through a bunch of these things. This is nearby. I think I probably took all the goodies out of it. And of course I have more there than I can possibly use. I also have this little box of pre-stamped fabrics. So this is like a tea-dyed cotton. This is more like a linen-y thing. Some of these used colored inks. They all, I would say probably 90% of them have, what you may call it, like fringy thread hanging. Here I did this one on a small plaid. So, again, had a heck of a lot of fun doing this. Probably did it 3 years ago. Used some of my favorite stamps. But here they sit. So how about use it, don't store it? And why, and this is a rhetorical question I'm asking myself. And some have hand stitching added to them. This is a rhetorical question I'm asking myself, but if you want to know the answer for yourself, you can ask yourself too. Why do I do this and then not use it? So here is a reminder to be used. Now I have these are, I didn't do a video or anything about it, but I had ordered. Now, if you wanted tongue depressors, you'd kind of pay quite dearly for them. These are just the wider craft sticks. I wish they were a little wider. I wish they were a little, well, I guess they're strong enough. I wish they were wider is the gist of it. So when I just have a little bit of lace or trim or ribbon, I'm slowly moving things onto these sticks. So I have some of that here. This is just some lace that was kicking around. I have some, I have some book pages. Okay, we've seen the music page. This I just found. This is end papers. I have like these solid ones I keep near me. I've said that before, in a magazine rack. Different sizes and shapes and colors. That I use as backing papers here and there. So more little bits of paper. And, oh, and you saw this as well, this book page, but pretty large font. So we'll see if the proportions are right for that. I also brought, because again, most of the time they're just kicking around here. These are paper towels that I use, like when I make myself a cup of tea. I obviously dip the tea bag, and then when it's strong enough, pull it out, lay it on a paper towel that's been folded into quarters, and this is sort of the result. Sometimes you get nice, the fruity, pinky red colors most of the time, or sometimes you get yellow. Most of the time it's shades of brown. And it can be dark, it can be light, and everything in between. So I've got that too for texture. I've got these little bits that, who knows where they came from. They're different. They're like, these two are not the same. I would say this is hoard worthy, but who knows? Maybe I'll use it. This is kind of a strange story. If you remember, a long time ago, I did a haul video where I bought, well, paid too much for, this was at an antique store, paid too much for a little tiny, essentially, I guess, jewelry box. And it had an antique, well, I don't know, antique, vintage, compact, and a little tube of red lipstick in it. And the cover was sort of a mottled purple orange, like a marbleized finish. I took it apart because I'm thinking, oh, that's going to make a great journal cover. And I experimented with some of the narrow pieces on the side, like it says gold stuff. It did not come off particularly well, even after soaking, but clearly I didn't throw these away. So maybe it's time to finally use them. I have some of these, and again, they didn't come off very well. These are the labels that come off the boxes from piano rolls. And you can see that they are pretty grungy looking, 1940s. And again, it depends how well or not these things were stored. I have some of these bread coupons. These come 10 to a card, and they're part of the ephemera package that I have listed in my shop. Another tea bag thingamajig. And some of these kind of, I guess it's chipboard. Now, I can't tell, or maybe these were thin to begin with. If I don't like the thickness of chipboard, I just split it. And so I've got this in a couple of colors. And then I thought, oh, this ribbon in particular, or trim, looks like it would go with some of the other colors that are happening. Anyway, let's begin. Okay, so the way to have something, oh, one last thing, focal points. These were the little images that came in some frames. And I just, I meant to ink. These were the ones that, here are some others, but the color is not as good. So I basically just tore around the edges thinking, well, now they seem ready to use, whereas before they weren't. So these will be probably some of the last things to go on, and maybe 3 is too many. So again, typically I would be working this way, but this time I'm working this way, so I just have to sort of change my orientation here a bit. So maybe because this paper is beautiful, maybe what I'll do is tear some pieces. It's like when you're making a masterboard or doing a collage. In my opinion, they look the best when there are repeating elements. So you wouldn't put down, one, unless it's a focal point, you wouldn't put down one of something and then think, oh, I'm done. Don't have to do that again. Maybe if I, what can you guys see? Maybe I need to move this up a smidge since I'm working taller. So I'm just going to randomly start gluing some stuff down. And if I have you know, and here and there I'll tell you what my thought process is. I also have this tacky glue. It's in the format, you know, where it sits upright. It's not really fun to work with, but I do have to say it does seem to have its, sorry. This may be an unnecessary step. Maybe it's something I could have done at the end. Just randomly add some inked edges. But since grunge is the order of the day, I'm kind of thinking I'm going to be obligated to do some inking along the way. Now see, that just broke from the pressure I'm applying. It seems like my voice still hasn't quite recovered. Or it's fine. Well, mind you, if I say 2 sentences to my husband, it's still creaky or squeaky or whatever it is. So who knows what's going on. Oh, you know what? Nobody said anything and I didn't have any pain, but I wonder if they used a breathing tube or just a cannula, you know, the thing in the nostrils. So again, because we're doing this in phases and in stages, like I wouldn't, and this, I don't know if this is legit. I guess I'm doing it, so maybe it is legit. Prove to me it isn't legit. Anyway, what I was going to say is I'm not going to take one piece of text and then a girl and a piece of lace and a bit of this paper towel and, you know, just 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of thing. Because I want it to be balanced and cohesive, I'm going to, if I pick an element, I'm going to use as many as I need. So I am sure that this will probably end up being sewn at some point. So I'm just basically trying to use the minimum amount of glue. I'm making sure that I'm changing the angle to add interest, and I am having it excuse me, extend beyond the edges, which again is going to add interest. And I should, well, in a minute, or well, soon, remind me to show you. Oh, first of all, I better put some of these down here as a reminder to use them. Maybe these nice flowers. Use the thing I love the most. The most. One thing I'm finding as I'm working quietly by myself, often just in silence, is that I just will grab something and use it till it's all gone. And that seems to be kind of working for me. Okay, so this clearly I think is more like a focal point. So maybe let's go with the napkin next. And again, you can see just by the juxtaposition. Remember when every second word that out of anyone's mouth was juxtaposition? And it didn't matter if it was a decorating show or a political commentator or whatever. I'm alternating. I'm working it in so that there are color. I think I could get away with this. So there are color differences. Maybe it's better, less risky to put the glue on here rather than on the napkin, napkin, because, or paper towel, because less likely to tear. And, you know, this would probably look goofy if I had them all going the same way, so I'm automatically just switching the angle here a bit too. And you can see that because I'm using the minimal amount of glue, and just a glue stick, that, you know, some stitching probably would be the smart thing to do. Denise, I'll say it again, I'm really glad you asked for this because, oh, and some of you were also bold enough to say, maybe you should start using the ones you made. Deanne, Angela, yeah, what's your point? Let's see what would happen if we introduce some ribbon at this point. Let's cover that up for the time being. You know, this is, you know, these things to hold things closed, they either are there like for life or they don't do the job at all. Doesn't seem to be much in between. Okay, so I have a few sort of red elements here. Now, maybe these, I think I only have one of this. No, I have two, but that's not, yeah, I only have two of the smaller buttons. And of course, a person could use real buttons, but, so let's say I want to get rid of the two small buttons. I can use some of these things. Wait, what else did I have that was red? Is that it? Oh, well, I have this, and I could find more of these if necessary. I like the ones that have the compass on the back. I think that's from Licorice Spice. So what I could do, and I have done in the past, now typically it would be with a wider ribbon, is just run it, you know, smack dab down the middle. Not much brain power required for that decision. But if I put anything more over it, you know, it will peek out and it will sort of have the same effect. So maybe just for the heck of it, let's do that. Now let's get this guy flowing. And I'm going to do the little notcheruno to try to minimize the, although, you know what? Fraying is not the worst thing in the world if you're doing grunge. So that's how you change your mind in midstream. Now, is there a right side to this? Doesn't appear to be. So I'm just roughly, let's see how much there is. Now I think this is too much to be used because, you know, part of me would say, okay, use it all up and you're done, but maybe I can use it elsewhere in the project. So that's, yeah, I'd have more than half left. So maybe I'll just stick with something fairly straightforward. If I feel like I need to add some lift, some dimension, I could, you know, just make some fake loops and insert them here and there. Okay, hopefully this is flowing. I'm not going to worry about this bleeding through. Number one, because, and I think I'm just going to kind of glue down the center. Again, you, at least I don't particularly care for those that are, you know, so flat and to the, you know, I like the ones where there's some life and movement and dimension. So I'm not going to glue it towards, you know, within an inch of its life. I probably should have done this half and half instead of... okay. Guess I could go a little beyond. And see, that will help reinforce this kind of weak well, or it'll tear it off, one or the other. Kind of weak fold in the, oh, see, I'm kind of long here. But that's fine. For now, I'll leave it. If I end up having to trim it, I will. And I could have, again, worked a few little tucks and puckers into it, but so I have more book page, but again, do we want that now? Or I could also put this lace down. Now it would, what else have I got here? Yeah. Let's pretend that I am not going to fool around with that forever. Let's use this up so that we know it's gone. So I have 3 chunks. I'm just going to make this a little bit longer. So I essentially end up with 3 and a little bit. And probably for this, I will rely on my art glitter glue. Now, I'm not, you see, I didn't dry fit or try positioning these at all. I think at this point, I just want it down. And I want it really pretty within the parameters of the snippet. And I should tell you that this is, well, I guess from the widest point, it's probably like 2.5 inches, but the bulk of it is mostly around 2 inches. So by kind of gluing this down well, it shouldn't disintegrate on this project. You know, and I guess if a tiny corner breaks off, well, them's the breaks kind of thing. I hope that you are well. Hope you're crafting your little hearts out. See, I always think that people who are in the workforce and, you know, have to book holidays and so on, maybe have it a wee bit easier. No, let me take that back. I don't think that's true. It's just a difference thing. It's not easier or harder. It's just different. When you're farming, okay, the crop is seeded, but in no time at all, it needs to be sprayed, which means setting up, you know, filling a huge tank with water multiple times, making sure that the sprayer is working the way it should and all of that. So all those steps that go with it. Plus then, number 1, getting the crop at the right stage of development. Now, I don't know this. I've never been curious enough or had enough time to get that interested in it. But you have to get the weeds for a maximum kill. You have to get the weeds. No, see, all my music paper is going to disappear. You have to get the weeds at the right stage. So some you have to have in the two-leaf stage. So that's why agronomists and people who sell chemicals and so on actually go out. They do field visits if you're a big enough farmer, or if you're, I guess, if you're old enough and have been doing this a while and feel confident in your own decision making or own judgment. You then you keep checking your fields and you think, yes, it's now. It's the time right this minute. And then, of course, you begin the praying for light, dry, calm days. I mean, not light. Light doesn't matter. I mean, you have to be able to see where you're going, obviously, but you want calm because chemical drift could easily happen, and it would either kill something you don't want it to kill, or the neighbor's crop, in which case you'd be paying damages, plus wasting chemicals and so on. And you also don't want there to be rain in the forecast, because most of these things, I wonder if I shouldn't just ink a bit around the edge of this and see what that looks like. And you know what? Because I'm a little bit of a chicken, maybe I'll try on the back side. Yeah, I guess it doesn't hurt. Maybe I'll just try to do more of the fringy parts. With rain, you have to make sure, and this is all specified either, I guess, online or in the product material, how many hours you need to have before rain, because if you're trying to finish a field or it's been windy for a week and you haven't been able to get there, then that's not good. Or if you have a lot of land that needs kind of attention all at the same time, it becomes it becomes a challenge. But you also don't want the rain to wash this priceless stuff off the foliage that it just hit. So so all those factors come into play, which means that it's farmers kind of either can't plan too much in advance. I guess was where I started going with this. Instead of giving you a tutorial about spraying, which you probably don't care about, I should have just explained that that's why I was going there. So you either need to be very spontaneous and just, okay, it rained again, it's too windy. Okay, Mama, get into the car, let's go for a drive kind of thing. But certainly no one that I know is going to be planning any kind of an excursion of any length of time as long as this important jobs needs to be done. Now, of course, if you have enough money, you can always, maybe I should put this on here, less chance of bleed again. You have, wait, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, gone. Doesn't that look great? But right now, we just have the one little bit of red. So of course we'll need to repeat the color at some point, somehow. I think adding that little bit of ink along the edge there did kind of add something. Yeah, so anyway, I'm not even at the 1 week post-surgery point. So I'm, and I can't drive, they said, for 2 weeks. So I'm very much a homebody, which is great because I like being at home. But yeah, we do have a family wedding. I'm officiating, marrying my niece. And I'm going to see if I can tuck some of these, or maybe I should put some of this on top, get the less gross ones. Tuck a bit underneath there. Now, I guess the problem that I'm seeing here is that square, and similar in size. So I have to keep that in the back of my mind, that I want to either blunt those square edges, and maybe that's a way to do it, or, rip. Do I only have, oh, here's another one that's already torn. Okay, so why don't I just go diagonally on this one? Let's piece a few things in first, and see how that's going to work. I might just use our glitter glue again, because the lumpier this gets, the you know, the harder it is to make sure you get a good grab. Anyway, yeah, so family wedding, so that's going to be really nice. My kid and his family are coming from the States, so it'll be nice. Like, they haven't, well, that goes two ways. Some members of the family haven't seen them or the boys for a long time, so you know how that goes. Children change so much in such a short time. You know, like, I'm surprised at how that older boy is getting so much taller than I am. I think we usually try to do one of those back-to-back pictures. My daughter kind of does that because she's the paparazzi in the family. Boy, she has annoyed a lot of people over the years. Okay, another one. Okay, smile. Okay, another one. Okay, get in closer. No, turn. But yet, when pictures are needed, guess who they turn to? That seems a mite big. This is so fragile, so brittle. Yeah, so it'll be nice for some of these cousins. Well, I guess they're not really cousins, they're second cousins. Some of these kid cousins to, you know, kind of meet each other and see, you know, if they have anything in common. You know how much fun it is for kids at a wedding. And I'm assuming that, oh, I even have some old tape here I could use. And I do have some washi because I was working kind of in the grungy department lately. Maybe I'll put some of this down here as well. Maybe I'll put this, I don't know, can you see? I'll put this piece on top because more than likely something else will cover it. Anyway, yeah, how kids just go on a tear, you know, running, playing, you know, maybe getting into a bit of trouble, eating stuff that they maybe aren't normally allowed to eat or whatever. Staying up past bedtimes. Not that anyone is that young anymore. Most of these kids are pretty old. But yeah, I think it's going to be so nice. So that's something to look forward to. I also, in October, I always go in October because that's the terms of our agreement. This might be good. Let's see what... I almost feel like I like that little stamp there, but maybe I should... This seems too big to me. Or is it? I'm asking you. Maybe I need, instead of adding more red, maybe I should work in some of these buttons. And what I could do is... Now, do you get the feeling that maybe I shouldn't have glued the fabric down since I'm having to tuck stuff underneath? Might have been good to have some, whatchamacallit, thread in those holes. I am prepared to cut a button in half if I have to. Oh, I only have, so this little guy will have to be somewhere in the middle. I was going to say I only have 3 of them, but I could tuck that underneath there. This might have almost been a job for Fabri-Tac, but let's remember to put the side that has less glue on the outside. Oh, that's not glued down yet, so no point in holding it. You know what I feel like doing? Why don't I just rip that off? Hey, hey. Now, obviously, that works better with fabric than it would with... Okay, this one I probably should leave here because it's... Aren't you just so grateful to me for doing all the things that you shouldn't do so that you don't have to? Okay. Maybe let's put this off to the side. I didn't exactly plan that very well. Whoops. Okay. Down, boy, down. I think, but do I have it? Oh, and I mustn't forget to use... Oh, sorry. Losing my marbles. Now, I do have some of this that could be nice, too. Why don't I cut a little smidge off? Let's cover this up. Oh. Maybe it wants to... Oh, I probably didn't do enough. Look at how it kind of pleated that up. Maybe what I'll do, again, cut this into thirds. It probably wants to tear this way better. Oh, for sure. A long way better. I could do more of those, I suppose, but let's start positioning this. And I'm just kind of barely touching it. Again, this is very lightweight fabric. It's not really going to go anywhere. And, you know, at this point, we're getting closer to the surface. So if it is going to bleed through, which it would on something thin, then, you know, it's just kind of better if you don't glob it on too badly. And I do obviously have oodles of that, so I could add more if it feels like I need to. Okay, let's cover this up for a moment and regroup here. So it doesn't look like the bread coupons are, oh, mind you, they do. They're kind of nice because they have the darker ink on there. We're eliminating the reddish buttons. We're done with the paper roll, although I do have this little thing here. And, or, as much as I like the little stamp and I like the little whatever date, it feels like it's too big for the, or these are too big. Maybe that's the issue. Let's rip this up. Oops. So there went some of that. So this will have to become a snippet very soon. Let's see if I can find something that, because I don't want those things to be so similar in size. Now I do have, okay, so that's a tiny little bee. It would be kind of nice. That's Bliss. And it doesn't have to be the same. Got several of those number 5s. That looks a little too, I don't know what. I've got Live, Laugh, and Love. And I am sort of, not piecing, but reaching for the darker colors here. I have to be careful when I cough. We don't want anything to come undone. Now there are these little, I wonder if I have more of those peonies. I love peonies. I noticed that some of mine are going to be, and it helps that it has the little stitching. Let's try to make those work. Goodness knows I've got many more I can glue down and rip up. I should have a warning that, but of course I don't know how to do that. I should have a warning that comes on screen. About to see something that needs to be ripped and removed. And then you could just close your eyes for that part. Okay, let's try to get some, and I don't know how, literally, I did this probably 3 years ago. I don't know how I did some of this stamping that it's so, some of it is so poor. Okay, so let's not screw up again. I know that people say, oh, you can't screw up in this. Well, yeah, I think you can. Didn't I just prove that? Okay, so if we had a girl there, now maybe I need to also ink her this up a bit. Whoa, that's a dark edge, and a big point of contact there was kind of a bit much. Yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say that if you're, having to repeat, or not repeat, but redo and undo and repeatedly, then yeah, I think we can fairly confidently say that was a screw up. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't try, and it also doesn't mean that we can't recover from a screw up. It just means that, hey, sometimes we gotta call a spade a spade. Okay. These may still be too big. Or maybe they're just, maybe I need to leave the center one kind of big. But again, what is the, why am I asking you all these rhetorical questions when you can't answer? Okay, I got a ruler here. Let's see how tall this thing is. This is essentially 12 inches long, which means that in a normal book, that would be, well, or counting from the top down, I guess. Yikes. Counting from the top down, 8 inches is roughly here. So I shouldn't be that concerned about where the middle is, because the middle is a movable thing. Okay, I'm just making this smaller because I think I have to. And I guess if I would have thought ahead a little bit further, I could have, and I'm not throwing those away, obviously, I could have looked for other images. And in fact, that would probably be a smarter thing to do, even at this point. But I guess worst case scenario, this could be, instead of used as a belly band, this could end up being a, it could be 1, 2, 3 clusters. Or the, something, a design on the side of the page. Okay, we need to move on, so I'm just doing it. So without really lifting it up and losing the positioning, see, that paper towel would like to really break off. So I'm just securing it a bit. Hopefully you can see some of that. So we're gently pressing that down again, hoping that it doesn't bleed through. Whoopsie. And I do have to, because I want to wind this up, I do have to I want to show you something else. It's also a snippet that I began doing, probably more than a year ago. That is slow stitching. Oh, see, I lifted it. Just when I was so cleverly telling you, oh, don't lift it. See, and then the worst of that stamping is not showing. But again, one of these days I should do a video about that and see if I've learned anything, if my technique is any better now. And of course, but if I didn't bring anything like that here, I could also add some, again I did, could also add some, flat profile buttons. Because, again, every little bit that we add to that. Do I want this underneath? I guess not, since I've glued it down already. See how I could just go with the flow? We gotta go with the flow, man. Oh, it looks like I won't be sewing this either because I dare not sew through the little girl's face. Where is my... Oh, just fell on the floor. And of course I can't see it. Yikes. Okay, let me just quickly put some tape around this so it doesn't dry up while I show you what I wanted to show you. Now, after to the camera off, I'll probably add these pieces of cello just because they're here and they will annoy me or get lost or damaged if I, don't deal with them. I never did use this because I said I was going to hoard it, didn't I? This I have to deal with. Now I do have a bit of this. What I could do, again, I don't know, maybe I'm being a little too prescriptive, but if I want 3 of something and I have a finite piece of a supply, just roughly fold that into thirds. I was hoping for a little more ragged cut, but I could just kind of do a little one of those things, because then you get a little bit of something. Let's see if I can just roughen this up a bit, because we don't want it to be too perfect though. Okay. Yeah, I think I'll just be... too bad that damn thing fell on the floor and I can't see. Because it doesn't take much to plug that, or to have that nozzle dry up on the art glitter glue. I suppose I could have looked for something brown as well, but I guess I'm going to do one of those parenting type things. Do what I say, not what I say, not what I do. A person, and I don't think, well, I was going to say I don't think I do that, but I do it in the sense that I'm trying to tell you about options. What I was about to say is, let's not second guess every single decision we've ever made. Oh, see, it kind of, I don't know, I hopefully you can see that. It kind of almost adds something to that photo. And if I do that on each one, let's untape this or uncover this. The reason, okay, I make a decision. Obviously, I gathered whatever I gathered for a reason. Either it was nearby, it fit the theme, I've had it too long and it's time to get gone with it. See, this could probably benefit from a stitch through it, a hand stitch. And that's maybe what I'll have to do. I'm trying to just hold it for the time being until it grabs. But because you don't have what I have, you're not working on what I am working on, maybe you don't even like this grungy stuff. So I owe it to you, if I'm hoping to inspire or teach something, I owe it to you to sort of, babble on about options. Because some of you, and I know I was like this in the beginning, you think, well, I don't have all that stuff. I don't have Tim Holtz. I don't have this. I don't have that. I don't have the tools. I don't have the blah, 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 blah. I can't possibly do it. Well, that's bullshit, dare I say. So that's why, see, that's not holding. So I'm going to need a needle and thread. But at least the bottom layer is grabbed. So I can kind of finger pleat it a bit. And, or I could use Fabri-Tac, I guess. Finger pleat it. And then I get a little dimension there. Anyway, so what I'm saying, clearly, you need a program to follow what I'm trying to say. I gathered up what I'm using for whatever reasons, and I've already said what they were. Theme of the project, availability, sick and tired of having it around, blah, blah, blah. I'm giving other options so that you know that even if you don't have, you can't exactly replicate what I've just, what I'm using or what I'm rattling on about. That doesn't mean you can't do it. And in fact, you should branch out and experiment and do something other than what you're seeing somebody do, because that grows you as an artist. I think that if the camera were not running and if I wasn't attempting to convey, a lesson, a message, something that would make you want to come here and tune in the first place, then I don't think I do that when I'm just here all by myself working. I try not to because, number one, I don't think it's productive. Number two, I think as women, we tend to be self-critical and don't often enough take credit for what we're doing well and right. And we keep thinking, oh my goodness, I have to be better. Why didn't I think of this? Well, sort of that inner critic that is very yappy. So, because there is no maximum lifetime limit on how many snippet rolls you make, if I think, oh, I wish I would have, then I can do that in the next one or the one after that, because it's not like it's one and done. I might as well add this dab of glue and then know that this is all as it is going to be. Now, if I wanted to, and if I had thought of bringing the buttons, I could also kind of put a button there. Oh, you know what else might be? But mind you, glitter is probably the antithesis of grungy. A person could also, you know, put some sort of a gem or a piece of bling or something. Should I just quickly, how long have we been here anyway? Oh dear. Oh dear. I'm not going to make you wait while I run and get some buttons, but I will try to get better at posting some pictures on social media, or like on my Instagram. Or how about this, putting some stuff in my coffee shop gallery. Or you'll see it in the final project when it gets used. Or I could do a follow-up Friday. How's that for a lot of ors? I think this is kind of cool. And let's just, at the risk of keeping you another 30 seconds, let's pretend that this was where it was going. Maybe we want a plainer page. So that would be cut off or probably torn, more likely, about there. I'd say that checks the grunge box. Anyway, let me show you that one last thing. I started, oh crap, there went something. I started slow stitching a snippet roll probably a year or more ago in response to a video, or as a result of watching a video done by Bella, you know, Rachel's mother, Rachel and Bella Crafts. And I guess Bella really likes to hand stitch. So this is done on a piece of, and that looks like it's 3 inches wide, piece of just white, maybe bed sheet or something, pillowcase. And you can see that it's all just, well, maybe you can't see, but it's all stitches because it's hard because it's white on white. So every element that is on here, and at this point it's all fabric. So there's that base fabric. There's, oh, I think that might have been a thrifted quilt circle. This is some fabric scrap, linen that I tea-dyed, lacy thing that I would have cut around. This is almost like an upholstery weight little thing. This could even be the wrong side if it's showing. More fabric, cheesecloth. And these things are just tacked down. Now, for some reason, and maybe this is why I've abandoned this thing, I don't know why it feels like it's puckered up or something, and it's not. See, it's almost like a, it's got a snake-like quality to it. But of course, that could be remedied by either stretching. Do you remember what we used to stretch things to try to reshape them? That seems to have helped a bit. Plus adding some elements. So if this is where the annoying thing is, then you just add something like that and all of a sudden it looks better. So maybe what I'll try to do as I, do some enforced resting is I continue to work on this and bring you an update at some point. I don't know that there's much more other than, maybe picking some focal type things like this. Let me show you something else. This is probably the best example. I am positive, I can almost be positive that Kim Newberg gave me some of this when I was in Manitoba. And you can see how these little motifs here with this linen and the crocheted part and the little scraggly things around it would look pretty darn good on here. So maybe what I need to do is cut some of these, stitch them on, and then use these. Like, I guess probably the design dilemma here is that this and this are virtually the same size. However, this lends itself very nicely to adding a focal point in the center. And that might be a big button or a cluster of small buttons or whatever. So I think that will be my next step as far as that goes. So anyway, Denise and anyone else who is, maybe wanted a few pointers about, doing snippet rolls, I hope that this has been somewhat helpful. I hope that the fact that I just yanked this thing off there convinces you that if something needs to go, well, then just grab it by its scrawny little neck and get it off there. And then you will be happier with the results. So I'm going to stop there because, as usual, the video got a little away from me. I know many of you, well, the ones who comment on these kinds of things are not bothered. So whatever. I can't please everyone. It is what it is. So thank you for being here, and let me go and find the little pin for my glue. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.